Welcome to the summer holidays. How do we balance making sure that our children have safe, comfortable, relaxing, rejuvenating break time while maintaining the skills that they're going to need to see them successfully grow and progress into the next academic year? So, if you're new here, my name is Sarah Lynn. This is the Mindful Toolbox podcast. Today we're looking at the problem of the summer slide. What do we do to manage everything? Grab your cup of tea. This is going to be quick and efficient. Let's dive into it. Okay, so I want to dive into the summer slide because it's cropped up in pop culture more recently than not, and I want to make sure that we understand what it is. So a lot of parents will come to me and they'll go, right, they have an exam next year, and we really want to make sure that we're honing those skills through the summer. We're maximizing how much maths and English and biology revision they're doing. And on the flip side, we have parents come to me being like, they just came out of a really big year. I don't want them to even look at a book, let alone a maths problem. And I'm here to gently push back a little bit because neither option is actually the ideal. This summer slide has far less to do with the academics as it has to do with the skills. So when we talk about the summer slide, apparently we have children who reverse their reading age and their arithmetic age over that 6-week break. Those are children who are not engaging with any academics at all. So that's why this fear, this awareness of making sure we do things right is heightened. We want to make sure that we're not allowing our children to go backwards every single time they have a break. So academics, yes, they go backwards. And importantly to note, for a neurodivergent brain, the academic slide or the summer slide is even steeper. And it's not because the academics is challenging or they don't understand. It's because of a working memory. Working memory as like a whiteboard, a space that we're able to jot things down really quickly, but everyone's whiteboard is a different size and everyone's whiteboard is resilient to stress to a varying degree. So when we think about summer, there's a couple of things that we may not be clocking. For instance, the lack of structure, the shifts in sleep, and the lack of intentional building of skills that will support your child in classroom, like their ability to start a task when they don't want to, or their ability to stay with something when it feels incredibly difficult. Sometimes we go summer and we pull back completely, and it's not necessarily the academics, but it is how they approach the academics that sees the biggest impact. Okay, so let's dive into those 3 specific things that are being impacted by the release of summer. First and foremost is the lack of structure. So for every brain, we like rituals. We like to have a closed loop. It helps our body feel safe. Our nervous system can regulate better. For our neurodivergent learners, the lack of structure has a far greater impact. And this can be seen across any kind of half term, any kind of break. We always talk about reintegrating back with the school system. There's always a lot of pushback. And the reason is because they had so much structure with school, then they had perhaps less structure, and then going back and reintegrating with that structure again is a little bit disorienting. So the best thing that we can do is find a rhythm or a routine, anchor in 1 hour per day that stays roughly the same. So whether it's your morning routine, everyone wakes up at a normal time, they brush their teeth, they eat, and then they start reading, or they do math for 5 minutes. Whatever it is that's going to help keep your child in some kind of routine, that is going to eliminate the big pushback and disengagement that happens come September. Okay, number 2 is the sleep shifts. So sleep, as we know, is incredibly important. It's when our brain is going to encode our learning and sort our ideas and just clean up what we've kind of put in our brain that day. And so sleep is really important for that repair process. Sleep is one of those things where when we're young, we don't want to go to sleep. There's a little bit of FOMO attached to it, right? Fear of missing out. There's a little bit of wanting to bend the rules because it feels rebellious to stay up late. And so by week 3, many of our families are saying that their child, who normally goes to bed between 9 and 10 p.m., is now staying up till 2 a.m. And now that isn't just a behavioral thing that we need to look at, it's also developmental, right? Their body needs to have accurate amounts of sleep in order for them to develop properly, but it also links to their mental well-being. And typically when they're up that late, it's because they're engaging with some kind of device. So looking at that sleep shift pattern is incredibly important, because it means that when we're engaging back into like end of August, getting ready for back to school, the window that we need to close on their sleep schedule is smaller. So if we allow them to go to bed at like 9, 10 during term time, and then we bump it up to like 11 every once in a while during summer, that's a much smaller gap to recover, come back to term time, rather than if they were in bed normal 9 to 10, and then all of a sudden during summer they're in bed between midnight and 2, well, that's a much bigger gap that we need to close to get them back ready for school. So looking at ways that we can reduce the amount of pressure that you put on yourself in those back to school getting ready weeks is going to be incredibly empowering. Okay, number 3, this one is about how we set the system up to create internal motivation, or at the bare minimum, we create some kind of external motivation. Because if we compare summer to school, school has imposed deadlines, it has structures, it has consequences if you don't do things. Summer has way less structure and way less deadlines, but we can still impose certain parameters around things needing to get done, so that the skill of being able to stick with something, even if it's boring, even if it's difficult, even when we don't want to, that skill, because it is a skill, is still building through the summer months. We're not allowing everything to just slip. So if they don't feel motivated, don't worry about it. It's a skill set, and like a muscle, we need to keep working it. So we need to make sure that we're still putting in some kind of system of sort to ensure that your child is still doing things even when they don't want to, even though it's summer. Because if we don't, then when they go back to school, they are going to be way less resilient, and you're going to see way more of the, I just don't know what to do. I need help. Can you help me? Can I go to the loo? All of those typical excuses that we normally see. So now that we have those 3 things that we're going to be looking out for, here are 3 things that you can keep in mind. It's not a system. It's not even a quick fix. It's just something to have front of mind while you're getting ready for the summer to ensure that your child does not experience the gravity pull of the summer slide. First and foremost is to allow their nervous system to be regulated throughout the ebbs and flows of summer. So it is looking at creating like a block, as I mentioned. So whether it's a 45-minute task that they do every day, or it's ensuring that they're outside every morning, it's something that they know that their body will just come to experience, like, this is our summer routine. This is what we do. That feels like something that we could overlook quite easily. Like, we don't want to do that. There's no importance to it. However, there's a researcher called Bruce Perry, and he talks about the importance of pattern regulation. It's when we start to notice things becoming a pattern, and that continuity, that predictability is what allows our nervous system to relax, and we have less energy going out because we don't know what's going on, and we can at least rely on that one routine happening every single day to keep us consistent. And the thing is it doesn't need to look like school, it just needs to exist. Something small that you can put in every single day that stays the same. Number 2 is to help keep that whiteboard, so our working memory, ticking over. We're not doing intensive revision unless, of course, you're getting ready for an exam. We're not diving into the depths of our academic rigor here. What we're doing is we're just doing small, short activities regularly and often to ensure that your child is still building and boosting out their ability to retain information, because working memory is something that is buildable. So at the end of a movie, you might ask them about a specific part. Do you remember this part? Like, what did you think here? How did you feel about that? Looking at reading a book together, and at the end of the chapter, just asking some inferencing and deduction questions, just things that you know that they would have had to hold on to. Or better yet, make it part of your everyday. If you have to go grocery shopping, make sure that your child is in charge of listing out what it is that they need, and practice helping them create different mnemonics or memory palaces to ensure that they can remember those things. And through that repetition of needing to hold that information for a short amount of time, you'll start to notice that as summer progresses, heading into the next year, they're starting to feel more empowered because they're remembering more. And last but not least, and I'm sure it comes as no surprise, is that sleep shift. Get it under control. There's always going to be fluctuations and a little bit of wiggle room. Of course there is. We're not looking for some stringent plan to follow. However, it will serve you and your family so much better if the difference between their term time sleep and their holiday sleep is less of a window. So when we're trying to pull them back towards term time, there's less of a struggle, there's less exhaustion, and we're allowing their body to naturally re-regulate with the cycle of the light and their dopamine cycles. So those are the 3 things that I believe are going to be imperative in supporting your child in reducing how much they actually slide academically and skills-based through the 6-week summer holidays. Now, of course, if your child has just come off a really intensive school year, this is going to be so soothing and rejuvenating for their regulation system. It allows them to build the capacity to get ready for the next academic year. On the flip side, if your child has just come off a really incredible, empowering, supersonic year where they feel like they just, blew everything out of the water, this likewise will allow them to continue building the skills needed, the growth mindset needed to see them into their future. The last thing that I want for you and your family is to reduce the importance of considering what happens during the summertime and come back in late August, early September, and feel the weight of not taking these things into consideration. And I don't want that for you. I would like for you to go into the summer knowing that there are 3 easy, quick wins that you can implement to support the entire family dynamic, not just during the holidays, but through the rest of the school year as well. So that brings us to our Mindful Toolbox Challenge. My challenge for you is to pick one, just one, whether it is looking at increasing your habits, your ritual through in the house, whether it's building that working memory with your child intentionally, or it's ensuring that their sleep stays fairly on schedule or fairly regular. I would like for you to choose one. Let me know down in the comments below which one you are prioritizing this summer, and let's see if we can just share and spur each other on. Sometimes we feel like there needs to be like an all or nothing approach. This is the best way to make sure that you have a little bit of consistency with a lot of flexibility so everyone can properly enjoy their break. So if you want to go further and you actually want to map out the specific skills that your child needs heading into a new year, that is what September is all about. It's 10 families, 6 months. So by spring next year, heading into any kind of exam or transition, you are supporting your child on a path to success and confidence. If you're interested in that, there's a link down below to set up a call. It is no obligation. We are in our Founding Families moment. Once Founding Families is done, we are heading back to our original price. And if you're not ready for that yet, but you do want more support on building working memory, then I highly recommend that you head over to this video. It's episode 21, Why My Bright Child Still Forgets Everything in an Exam. We go through the forgetting curve, the working memory whiteboard, and everything that you need to ensure that your child is able to build that skill set. And if you've come to the end of this video and you're still wondering what EF profiles are, executive functions, what the 11 skills are that your child can develop, then I would suggest that you head over to episode 31. It is the last episode, and it is there as an explainer guide. I dive deep into what executive function is, how it develops, what part of the brain it's developing in, how it shows up in your child, all of the things that you can do to fine tweak your environment at home. So if you're new to executive function, then I would suggest heading into that video next. I'm going to see you in there. Thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy your summer break, and I will see you in 2 Thursdays. Take care.